Today we're going to go through how to constrain when doing your animation. So for example, you have one character and you have one sword. Let us do it with one hand first. So you have your controller. Usually for a sword, they have one controller and also a sub-controller over here. So if you have a sub-controller, once you constrain it with the outer one, you still can animate the inner one. I'm going to place selecting the outer one. I'm going to place it how he's going to hold the sword. Okay, so this will be a very simple hand pose of grabbing a sword. So how do we constrain it so that when the hand moves, the sword will follow also? First, select the hand controller. Second, the sword controller. And then we go to rigging, constraint, parent, click the option box. Usually we will use maintain offset, okay, with the default setting and apply. Okay, once you apply, when you click the hand controller, you will see this parent constraint appear here. Now your hand is constrained. This is in your IK mode. Now let's switch the character into FK mode. This character FK, you can switch it in this tiny logo here. You can switch from 0 to 1, and this will be FK mode. We realize the FK mode, the hand is not constrained. Okay, so now use the wrist. Second, click the sword controller. You will do the same thing again. Parent, same setting, maintain offset, and apply. Okay, once we apply, you can see we have both controller over here. Then you will realize when you move your hand, your sword is not following. Why? Is because if you click the controller in the parent constraint, you have one value for your IK and one value for your FK. So now they are sharing 50%, 50% over here. So that's why the sword is not following. So we need to set this IK to 0 because we are not using IK anymore. Okay, we are using FK. Now everything is follow. Okay, if you want to use it in IK mode, just switch on the IK to 1, okay, and switch off the FK to 0. Okay, of course you need to change back to your IK mode. Okay, now we can animate using IK. Be careful, don't overstretch your sword. Okay, you can even rotate. So we will switch back to FK for now. Okay, so now we have one hand done. So we need to use the other hand, two hands to hold the sword together. So how do we do it? Usually I will create FK hand, depends on how you want to animate your character. I will use the master hand, which is the right hand, as a FK. I will do a very simple pose for now. So for the other hand, I will using IK. The same thing, I will do a quick pose for the hand pose. So in this case, I want the sword to go down a bit more. Okay, so I cannot use the red color to animate because over here the value is blue color, which means it's already constrained by something. That is why we need a secondary controller to animate this sword. Okay, so example, this sword, I want it to go down a bit more so I can see the tip. So this is the time where I touch the secondary controller. Okay, I will carry on with the poses. We have our pose done. So now we need to constrain the both hands together so that when I move my body, the other hand should follow. If I'm going to constrain this hand to the sword, this value will turn blue color like the sword. Okay, so we need to constrain the one above this controller. Click the hand controller, press F. Okay, there is another group here. That is the place where we need to constrain the sword. We will use this group to constrain together with the hand. Okay, so if this hand move, this hand will follow. So this wrist will be the master controller. We will use this hand first, followed by second this group. Then we need to click parent, same thing, maintain offset and apply. Okay, now we move the body. Okay, both sword and hand will move at the same time. Okay, because this sword is in FK. If you overstretch, this hand is not able to stretch. Try not to overstretch this character. Your rig should be fine. How do you animate? You will only animate this hand, okay, unless you want to have a very small secondary action, then you touch the other hand. Make sure the value, okay, don't constrain this hand, make sure the value is open. Alright, so now you have your two hand control. We will have first pose over here, then I'll move on to create our second pose. We have our second pose done. So let's us move on to the third pose. And with the third pose done, all you have to do is to click this magic button. And there you go, you have your final animation. This video is just to show you how I usually constrain a sword. Of course, there are many other ways to constrain your sword, depends on different situation and different rig. I hope you have learned something today. I'll see you next time. Happy animating!